And you're up.
All right, so today we're going to go over the fully loaded pay rate, and there's going to be a couple key things that you guys need to pay attention to. Today, for example, we're going to use a $20 an hour employee. It's a little on the higher side, but the overall idea of the concept behind the fully loaded pay rate, I'm hoping that you understand. So there are several key factors in the upper part of the fully loaded pay rate. You got your SUTA, which is your State Unemployment Tax Act. Now, the SUTA can vary based on state, but for this example, we're going to use a 9.9% average. On a $20 an hour employee, your SUTA at 9.9 is going to cost you $1.98. Once you take your $20 an hour, multiply it by the 9.9, you're going to get $1.98 an hour average. Your next one down is going to be your FUTA. Now, your FUTA is your Federal Unemployment Tax Act. Now, where this comes into play is your FUTA is a 6.2% average. However, if a company pays their SUTA on time, they get a 5.4% discount. So it behooves a company to make sure that they pay their State Unemployment Tax Act on time in order to receive the 5.4% discount. Otherwise, they have to pay 6.2%. So on FUTA, it's 6.2 minus the 5.4 discount gives you a 0.8 multiplier. So if we factor this over and we go over on $20 an hour employee, it's $1.60 an hour average for a $20 an hour employee. Your next part of the burden is going to be your FICA. Your FICA is going to be your Social Security and your Medicare. This is a fixed rate. This does not change. This is a 7.65 multiplier. Again, 7.65. I'm going to write that. Once you factor that into your $20 an hour employee, it's going to be $1.53. The workman's comp is going to be your most difficult challenge. This is the toughest one to understand. So I'm going to walk you through this. How you figure out your workman's comp is you're going to take your classification rate, which is going to be the risk of the trade. Every state is going to be a little different. So you're going to have a different classification rate for a carpenter versus a roofer versus a plumber. So you take your classification rate or your risk of trade, and you're going to multiply it by your experienced modifier, or we call it your safety rating. Now, your safety rating is always set when an average safety rating of a 1.0. Now, a company based on too many injuries or too many injuries, we'll say, this can go up. The multiplier can go up, which now puts the workman's comp at a higher risk for the employer, which is always bad. So if you take your classification rate and you multiply it by your modifier, you're going to get an hourly rate. Now, in this example, based on every $100 is where they figure out what the hourly rate's going to be. So a New York carpenter, the classification rate for the New York carpenter is $12.60 an hour, and if you multiply that by the average mod or safety rating of 1.0, it's going to give you $2.60 an hour workman's comp. Now again, the classification rate for a plumber and a carpenter is going to be a lot different than a roofer because the classification rate is going to be higher, which means the workman's comp will also be higher. And the real important is this safety rating of 1.0 can increase based on how many injuries a company has. So if this starts going up, your workman's comp now increases. So once you figure out the workman's comp, and this is the biggest risk for any employer, then this is where we know we can help them the most. Administration cost is the last thing we consider in the top 5 here. Administration cost is always 10% based on your hourly rate. Based on the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it's always about 10% of the cost. In this example, we're just going to use $1.50. So on the back end burden for any employer, for a $20 an hour employee, we'd be looking at $29.21. This is what they pay. So if an employer says, I pay my guys $29 an hour, or I'm sorry, $20 an hour, we know by the time they factor in the burden, which we call it, the back end, all the taxes, it costs them $29.21. Now, the two things we add on after we factor in what the total cost of the employee is are going to be the benefits. The benefits on average, let's say it costs an individual $500 a month. You divide it by 160 hours, which is 40 hours per week. It's the total hours for the month. Gives you a total of $3.12. Then we got to factor in vacation. Vacation is going to be, you're going to take your 80 hours of vacation on average that an employee gets, and you're going to multiply it by the cost of the employee, which is the $29.21. So we're going to drop this over here and do 80 hours multiplied by the $29.21. That gives us $2,337. You're going to divide that by the remaining hours of the year. So there's 2,080 hours in a year. Because we're taking 80 hours of vacation, we're going to divide the $2,337 divided by the remaining hours after vacation, which is 2,000. It's going to give you an average of $1.17 per hour. Now, once you factor in all the burden, all the benefits of the vacation, the total cost for that employee is going to be $33.50 per hour. This is where tradesman comes into play. Tradesman is going to be anywhere between $5 to $6 an hour on top of this, which is going to take us anywhere between $38.50 on this example, $39.50. That's going to be your fully loaded pay rate. This is how you explain it to the client. Any questions, of course, reach out to me, email me. This is meant for training purposes only. Please understand this. This is a very important part of your sales process and being able to take the conversations to the next level with a client. Thank you. Be safe. Have a great day.